It hasn't been decided yet. We're not going to talk about the quarterback situation right now.
It's almost like to like one person, you have to dislike the other.
There's three quarterbacks on this football team. Whichever one starts, starts. Whichever ones don't, will back him up. Period. Cut and dried.
Weeks ago, we stood in this same spot.
All six of you worked your tail off.
5 seconds left. 4, you dreaming? 3. That was great, but number 3. More to go.
Evidently 2 impressions, 2 weeks.
Behind the center is the man who calls the plays, the quarterback.
The quarterback decision has to be one of the hardest that coaches ever have.
23 cents.
The math is simple. For every 2 quarterbacks, there is only one starting job. For the odd man out or his head coach, it doesn't always add up.
Are you hurt, frustrated, or how do you feel?
Next question.
I think the elements of a great quarterback controversy are having 2 guys playing at a level that's equal to the other.
Our problem is we have 2.
So then it's a matter of where do you go? What do you do?
The quarterback battle is officially here.
Part of the controversy is do you waver?
They make the switch. Put in the other quarterback.
Do you have any sleepless nights? Are you flipping a coin? Are you sure?
Wait a minute.
A top 10 quarterback controversy is a true dilemma between 2 worthy choices. Who starts at quarterback? There will be no recounts. These are our top 10 quarterback controversies.
Shake hands and come out throwing.
The number 10 quarterback controversy of all time. Drew Bledsoe versus Tom Brady.
There was a Bledsoe camp and a Brady camp. You can still find Bledsoe people, like World War II. Japanese soldiers will come walking out of the jungles and still think the war is on. There are still Bledsoe people like that somewhere in the backwoods of Maine. They'll come out and they say, Drew's better than Brady, you know.
Drew Bledsoe was a New England mainstay who had proved to Patriots fans that he could win.
The Patriots are going to the Super Bowl.
Tom Brady began 2001 as a little-known backup, but one huge hit started our number 10 quarterback controversy with a bang.
Blasted to the ground.
Tom Brady has been put into quarterback and Bledsoe taken out.
This guy who nobody really knew, nobody really expected to do much, comes in,
Fires down the middle. It is caught. Touchdown.
and all of a sudden he becomes the golden child.
Foxborough loves Tom Brady.
When Bledsoe was healthy enough to play, the Patriots handed him a clipboard instead.
I'll just put it this way. I look forward to the chance to compete for my job.
This was a very respected, kind of beloved figure in New England. There was a sense that the carpet had been pulled out from under Drew Bledsoe.
It's almost like to like one person, you have to dislike the other. And that's not the way it should be, and that's not the way it is.
Which Patriots quarterback do you think should start?
It was an incredibly divisive controversy.
Bledsoe.
Why?
We poll the coaches, we're going to poll the fans.
Because Bledsoe, look at his history. He's just a better quarterback.
We're going to poll the 4th graders. We're going to, the barbers, we'll poll everybody.
In the AFC Championship game came another hard hit.
And Brady's down.
And another chance for Bledsoe.
Drew Bledsoe, his first touchdown pass of the season.
Everybody remembers the great catch by David Patton, but sandwiched in there, he ran out on the sidelines in the same exact fashion that he did when he got his artery severed by Mo Lewis. Is the fire hot? Yeah, still hot. The Patriots were lucky to survive.
And we're heading to New Orleans as the American Football Conference champions.
A well-respected national writer goes, well, who do you start next week? The old guy turns around and goes, what do you mean, who do you start? Did you watch the game? If Bledsoe gets in there, they get killed.
Brady got the start in Super Bowl 36, and his performance meant Bledsoe's days in New England were numbered.
Brady drops back to throw. Looks. Fires.
Touchdown! The Patriots are Super Bowl champions!
The Patriots were going to rue the day they ever traded Drew Bledsoe within the division.
When Drew starts out and has a really good first half of a season in Buffalo,
You know me, I make anything look good.
now it's like, well, maybe Belichick isn't so smart. Unfortunately for Drew, there was a second half to the season.
You just have to stand there and watch this guy's legend get bigger bigger.
The Patriots are going to be Super Bowl champions again.
And bigger. For a guy like Bledsoe, had to be incredibly difficult.
Coming up, which Hall of Fame quarterback created controversy for Jimmy Johnson?
These questions are ridiculous. If Craig Erickson goes in there, it's because we feel like Craig Erickson can help us win a game.
It's ridiculous, man.
In 2000, the Ravens used the quarterback controversy as a springboard.
Tony's moving the ball, but you can't keep throwing interceptions. No, I'm not frustrated.
Too many mistakes cost Tony Banks his job.
We got to let Trent try to do something here now.
And a new quarterback won it all.
And the Ravens are the champions of the world.
It wasn't the first time a quarterback switch led to Super Bowl success.
The number 9 quarterback controversy of all time. Terry Bradshaw versus Joe Gilliam.
I mean, the whole franchise is really sort of teetering on its axis. And the decision of who's going to play quarterback is really going to determine whether this team's going to go on to win or not.
Our number 9 quarterback controversy pitted the Blonde Bomber against Jefferson Street Joe.
Here's Gilliam from the pocket. Firing downfield. Touchdown, Pittsburgh.
Joe Gilliam made an impression with head coach Chuck Noll after leading the Steelers to a perfect preseason in 1974.
Would you say realistically that he has a good fighting chance to be our number 1 quarterback at the beginning of the season?
Well, he's done very well in preseason. He's been the most productive.
Noll makes the decision at the beginning of the 1974 season that he's going to go into the season with Joe Gilliam as his starting quarterback.
I think Chuck wanted to give Terry a little bit of a kick up the backside by saying, look, you having the number 1 job isn't written in stone. This guy can do it just as well.
Gilliam threw for over 600 yards in his first 2 games, including a 30-0 drumming of the Baltimore Colts.
Maybe the quickest release of the football of anybody that's ever come along. If you talk to the Pittsburgh Steelers coaches, they will tell you that when they would look at film of the quarterbacks throwing, at no point could they stop the film on a single frame and have a clear picture of Joe Gilliam's hand. It was always a blur. And he had a confidence that at that point Terry had lost.
Don't go out to the restaurants that I used to frequent. Don't read the newspapers because they're going to say bad things about you.
I think he went into somewhat of seclusion when he wasn't at practice. He was going home to no one.
You know, it's part of the pressure that you have to learn how to handle in order to be an NFL quarterback. That spotlight, it's bright. Sometimes it's searing.
Meanwhile, Gilliam's flashy style of throw first, run never was exciting to watch, but not exactly Coach Noll's cup of tea.
Gilliam was the starting quarterback for a number of games until Chuck finally decided he was throwing the ball too much, you know, and he was throwing it willy-nilly.
Gilliam threw to a double-covered Ron Shanklin with the predictable results.
And that just wasn't the way the Pittsburgh Steelers played in those days.
We're going with Terry. Terry's our guy. And at that point, everybody fell in behind Bradshaw, and the Steelers went on to win 4 Super Bowls.
The Pittsburgh Steelers are the champions of the National Football League.
Joe Gilliam's career never recovered from that point.
Hard to beat. Hard to beat.
I think history has proven that Terry Bradshaw deserved that job, was better than Joe Gilliam, and ultimately led them to where they wanted to go.
The number 8 quarterback controversy of all time. Troy Aikman versus Steve Walsh.
People thought Jimmy was crazy. But for the first couple of years here, everybody thought Jimmy was crazy.
Jimmy Johnson was crazy good at the University of Miami. His new team was really bad.
Let's go! Let's go!
The Cowboys had the first pick of the 1989 draft, and they used it on Troy Aikman.
The scouts and all the people in the Cowboys front office all pointed to Aikman as the best player in the draft.
But just a few months later, Johnson took his old college quarterback Steve Walsh in the NFL supplemental draft, and controversy blew in like a hurricane.
The scouts were not convinced that Walsh could be a winning quarterback in the NFL. He didn't have the arm, he didn't have the physical ability.
Jimmy knew what Walsh's physical strengths and weaknesses were. He did know that Steve
Steve Walsh had won for him.
The Miami Hurricanes are national champions.
You're telling me Aikman's the guy, maybe he will be the guy. But just in case he's not, I want to have Walsh there.
Now here's Steve Walsh. Here's a guy who really understands what's going on the football field.
It seemed like a very curious decision to bring in two rookie quarterbacks at the same time.
Junior League! Everybody assumed Jimmy wants Walsh to be his quarterback.
We'll take Steve Walsh. We'll light a fire under Troy Aikman.
Aikman didn't feel Jimmy Johnson liked him. He felt Jimmy was looking for somebody else.
Jimmy had a relationship with someone who was going to be a competitor of mine. The acquisition of Steve Walsh kept us from developing a relationship much sooner.
At first, Johnson made Aikman the starter, but when the first overall pick wasn't out of place, he was on the ground.
That first year, he proved his toughness to Jim Johnson, to the entire team.
Still, with Aikman injured, Walsh led the Cowboys to their only win of 1989.
And Jimmy Johnson is one happy man.
We were talking about the quarterbacks, and Jimmy Johnson was a coin flip difference away from starting Steve Walsh. And I said, Jimmy, you can't do that. They'll burn your house down.
You realized at the end of that first year that you had your quarterback of the future, that nobody was going to be that tough.
Aikman won the job for good, shaking off our number 8 quarterback controversy as if it was a blindside hit.
Tough.
Within a year, Walsh was gone.
Aikman proves to be a great player.
Cowboys are back on top of the mountain. They should stay there a while.
Wins 3 Super Bowls.
How do you feel about a second Super Bowl?
Cowboys are world champions again.
And ultimately is a Hall of Famer.
It's just stunning to me, Troy Aikman in the Hall of Fame, that he was ever part of a quarterback controversy, and the fact that Steve Walsh was the guy with whom he was embroiled in this controversy.
Walsh throws it out, intercepted.
Makes it even more shocking. No offense to Steve Walsh.
Coming up, controversy in the Capitol. Why is choosing a Redskins quarterback like banging your head against the wall?
The diagnosis was a jammed neck, and we just saw how he did it.
QBs drafted in the first round aren't immune to controversy. Top choice Byron Leftwich was the wrong fit for Jacksonville.
Critical mistake.
But fourth round pick David Garrard looks pretty sharp.
How's it going?
Earl Morrall was 11-0 in 1972, but 5-0 Bob Greasy suited the Dolphins just fine in the Super Bowl, completing their perfect season.
It's one of the toughest decisions I ever had to make in my coaching career.
That same year, first-rounder Billy Kilmer took over for Sonny Jurgensen as the Redskins starting quarterback.
This ball goes to Billy Kilmer because he...
But choosing between two candidates is a familiar story in Washington.
The number 7 quarterback controversy of all time. Jay Schrader versus Doug Williams.
Lawrence Taylor is up, saying Theismann is hurt.
One of the first Schrader memories was when he came in after Theismann broke his leg on Monday night.
They bring in Jay Schrader, second-year man out of UCLA.
He had come in very touted, big arm.
Hey, I want to see him when he really gets on top of the game.
So people were all of a sudden saying, oh my God, this is our guy.
He was a big, strong-arm guy, great with the deep ball.
Threw a bullet into the end zone. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
Doug Williams had once been a young hotshot quarterback, but it was with the hopeless Bucks. By the time he got to D.C., he was only a backup.
There's Doug Williams, who's not dressed, not on the active roster today.
Williams, at that point of his career, he was practically done.
During the 1986 NFC Championship game, the winds of controversy swirled around the Redskins.
There's the image indelibly burned in Redskin fans' brains of Jay Schrader, shell-shocked face because of the beating he took from that Giants defense.
Jay Schrader just willed it down in front of the Redskin bench.
Schrader was dazed. He gets up, he walks a bit toward the sideline.
They put Doug Williams into the game, and Schrader waved him off.
That was the beginning of their controversy.
He was arrogant, believed he couldn't do anything wrong, and that was the problem.
There's no way they're going to get me out of this game.
That was one of the most embarrassing moments of my life. That stuck with me for a long time, and it still sticks with me.
Is this really our guy, or is there somebody better?
During the 1987 opener, Jay Schrader hurt his shoulder, giving Williams a chance and beginning a season-long quarterback carousel.
What a great pass by Doug Williams. Whoa, did he do it all?
Doug Williams wins 3 games coming off the bench that year. Jay Schrader struggles, doesn't play as well as he did before. Ironically, every game that Doug Williams started, he lost. He was better coming off the bench.
And so they kind of go back and forth during the course of the season.
There's Doug Williams. He got a little pouch to keep his hands warm.
Williams, the man of the moment, and Schrader, the man of the past.
Once Doug started to play well,
Back is Doug Williams. Throws it in a hurry. Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
there was a real groundswell to keep him in there and see what this guy could do.
This afternoon, we're going to play the biggest football game in the history of Western civilization.
Named the starter for the playoffs, Williams led the Redskins to Super Bowl 22, and his performance put an end to our number 7 quarterback controversy.
4 touchdowns in 1 quarter.
Doug Williams, most valuable player.
I would say it's one of the biggest quarterback controversies. The fact that Williams goes on to lead the Redskins to a Super Bowl victory, I think that gives this even greater significance.
That was a funny quarterback controversy because it was so short-lived.
Sonny versus Billy remains the ultimate quarterback controversy in this town.
Jurgensen, Kilmer.
Not on this list.
The number 6 quarterback controversy of all time. Doug Flutie versus Rob Johnson.
It was certainly a controversy.
What a play, what a throw by Johnson.
Doug Flutie had magic.
Here's Flutie rolling out, and he is in for the touchdown. This place is bedlam. It is bonkers.
The classic debate between the guy who's much better than everyone thinks he should be versus the guy who's never quite what he's supposed to be.
Pressure set.
Our number 6 quarterback controversy is the story of the stone-cold competitor.
If anyone were to say they're completely content sitting the bench, they don't belong in the game.
Versus the laid-back surfer dude.
You know, where I come from, football is not like the most important thing.
Totally. Rob Johnson, talk about one of the one-game wonders who played one good game and got a contract out of it. And everybody then thought, oh, he can play.
Rob on his feet, 5. Rob firing for the end zone. Touchdown, Jaguars.
Buffalo traded for Johnson before the 1998 season for a 1st and 4th round draft pick.
If you just measured him, if you just had him throw the ball through a tire, you'd look at it and say, boy, here's a guy that's going to be an all-timer.
Johnson's one shining performance earned him a $25 million contract.
Excellent.
When you pay a quarterback that kind of money, you're going to create an issue.
In contrast, the Bills signed Doug Flutie for a pittance of what they gave Rob Johnson.
The role of being behind Rob Johnson would never appeal to him. Once he saw Rob was not the guy in his mind, he set out to unseat Rob.
And get some of these flutes? Sure. That's what I live for.
In Indianapolis, Johnson takes a hit and doesn't get up. And in comes Doug Flutie.
And look at this, Doug Flutie now is coming in.
When Flutie got in, Flutie performed.
He is the guy. He is the leader.
Flutie, let it go for the touchdown.
He's what the Bills need. And Rob Johnson isn't.
He is a miracle man, I believe.
Flutie reached a rock star status when he led the Bills to the playoffs in 1998.
We'd just like to thank you. That would be a thank you to all of you for your support.
He became the people's choice, for sure.
Hey, Flutes, what flag football league did you play in?
12 and 13.
They dug the 80s called They Want Their Hair Back.
It was always hard for a franchise to build its team, its foundation around Doug Flutie.
But you're going to run me over in the hallway.
In 1999, Flutie again led the Bills to the playoffs, but was asked to take a backseat to Johnson.
This week, as far as quarterback's concerned, I'm starting Rob Johnson.
A change at quarterback for the underdog Bills. They start Rob Johnson instead of Doug Flutie.
So the decision at the end, when they get to the playoffs, to bench Flutie and go back to Johnson, I think was a very unpopular decision.
Johnson runs to throw in trouble. Sack! Ball rolling free!
You know, in hindsight, you know, Doug probably would have won the game. So, you know, that's kind of the way we look at it.
Since benching Flutie, the Bills haven't made the playoffs and have averaged only 7 wins a year.
Can this get any worse?
I really feel that if they would have let Doug Flutie stay in the game and gave him that job and really supported him, that Buffalo Bills team would have been better.
Coming up, big-time drama in the Big Apple.
You know, everybody's trying to stir that up around here. You know, who's sitting, who's playing. I don't really give a
Sunday at
Too busy training to become a Jedi? Well, here's a recap of our top 10 quarterback controversies so far.
Number 10, washout Eddie Murphy. Brady's trading places with Bledsoe.
And Foxborough loves Tom Brady.
And all of a sudden, he becomes the golden child.
Number 9, Joe Gilliam's quick release isn't enough for Bradshaw's bombs.
How about that, huh?
Number 8, Troy Aikman outguns Steve Walsh.
Touchdown, Cowboy!
Number 7, Doug Williams' big break in D.C.
Williams, the man of the moment, and Schrader, the man of the past.
Number 6, Flutie gets benched for a flick.
You know, where I come from, football is not, like, the most important thing.
And now, the number 5 quarterback controversy of all time. Phil Simms versus Jeff Hostetler.
Yeah, Simms and Hostetler was kind of interesting.
Jeff Hostetler was a pretty good quarterback.
Hostetler looking, throws, touchdown!
That's a guy that you tend to forget has a Super Bowl ring.
You did it, man. Congratulations.
Phil was a far better quarterback.
The Super Bowl champions are the Giants. I'm going to go to Disneyland, yeah!
Our number 5 quarterback controversy began in 1990 when Phil Simms broke his foot.
Simms is leveled on that play.
The New York faithful were in shock as the remainder of the season was now on the shoulders of Jeff Hostetler.
At that point, Hostetler had not played very much. Now, what's kind of lost in all this is the fact that Jeff had been a very good college player.
Nobody on the bandwagon. Everybody was a pessimist. Everybody was, hey, look what you got at quarterback. Here's your weak link. He's never going to be able to do it.
You know, everybody's trying to stir that up around here. You know, who's sitting, who's playing. I don't really give a
Hostetler throws everything. Touchdown!
A lot of guys kept thinking that Hostetler was going to do it, a backup quarterback, big game. He never been in this type of situation. He was like our secret weapon.
Rarely have you seen a backup come in and play that well, and he was a legitimate backup.
Hostetler's trying to pass, throws on the run, and completes to Bavaro. Kick is away, it's got the distance. It is good! Good! And the Giants are going to Tampa Bay. It's over for the three-peat.
Remember, Phil did not beat the Niners in the regular season game.
They keep on telling me I can't, and, you know, I'm going to the Super Bowl.
Hostetler ended his remarkable playoff run by giving the Giants their second championship in 5 years.
Something that they said would never happen, couldn't happen. Here we are. We won the Super Bowl.
And I think he represents the most bitter memory for Phil Simms. I remember him saying he went to the game in Tampa that year and left at halftime because he really didn't feel like a part of that Giants team.
Things heated up in 1991 as Bill Parcells skipped town and left new head coach Ray Handley with a big decision.
I'm not concerned about the decision because I can't make a bad decision.
It's hard to have both guys at the position who both think they can play. And by the way, both are Super Bowl winners.
So what's the game plan when you have 2 championship quarterbacks? The Giants never figured one out, and neither Simms nor Hostetler ever reached a Super Bowl again.
If you have 2 quarterbacks, you have no quarterback. Okay, that's it. That's the bottom line.
The number 4 quarterback controversy of all time. Drew Brees versus Phillip Rivers.
4. Immediately, within 10 seconds, you had created a quarterback controversy. How could you not?
The San Diego Chargers select Eli Manning, quarterback, Mississippi. The San Diego Chargers and the New York Giants have exchanged their draft picks, Eli Manning and Phillip Rivers.
Drew Brees had a lot of football left in him. And yet, by bringing in Phillip Rivers with the first-round pick in the draft, they totally changed the dynamic in San Diego.
He's short. He doesn't have a cannon for an arm.
Drew Brees is taking a licking out there.
Drew Brees is always going to have either his coach or the GM or somebody in the back of their mind thinking, we got to get a guy that looks more like a real NFL quarterback.
Trade to draft Phillip Rivers? I mean, that's an absolute slap in the face, and he just accepted it as a challenge.
What does this mean for Drew Brees in the short and long term?
We're going to open it to competition, and whoever turns out to be the best man, they'll be the one that leads the Chargers this season.
Whoa, wait a minute.
When Phillip holds out, Drew absolutely took hold of that team.
Good job, Drew.
He leads the NFL preseason in passing a 105 quarterback rating.
Phillip shows up. He's behind on the field in the playbook, obviously.
Oh, he doesn't know.
Bring in a guy that you traded for on draft day. You assume he's going to come in and be your quarterback, and that Drew Brees is done. Drew Brees gets to start, and lo and behold,
Drew Brees, the best half of football in his 4 years.
Guess what? The short guy's pretty damn good.
How about that, Drew Brees, baby?
Drew Brees' breakout year in 2004 produced a trip to the playoffs.
Chargers are AFC West champions.
And lots of questions about the controversy.
How do you envision this all playing out?
We go and win the Super Bowl, and I get signed here for the rest of my career.
Now everybody loves Drew. So where does that put Phillip? In kind of a precarious position.
And after 1 year's time, it was clear you could not go forward with this. I mean, they had to make a decision.
Brees or Phillip Rivers? It was the question at the heart of our number 4 quarterback controversy. In 2005, fate answered it for the Chargers.
Drew is hurt. Drew is holding his right shoulder. Drew is absolutely hurt.
The Chargers really lucked out on that. They were faced with what they were going to do about a contract decision with Drew Brees. It became easier for them to justify not signing him.
Brees got healthy and signed with the Saints, while Rivers took over the Chargers. Both have led their teams to conference championship games.
The San Diego Chargers are going to go to Foxborough.
And the Saints are going to go to the NFC Championship game.
Up next, our favorite controversy from the fabulous 50s.
Yep, he's going to give that melon a long toss and knock the pipe out of Fred Gerke's kisser. Oh, dear.
The silver and black have never let quarterback controversy stand in the way of winning Super Bowls.
Back goes Lamont to get a pass.
First, it was the Mad Bomber versus the Snake.
I backed up a great quarterback, and I stepped in and took over a great football team.
In the 80s, Jim Plunkett beat out Mark Wilson twice to win 2 Super Bowls.
Silver and black football is king of the hill in the National Football League.
But this wasn't the first California quarterback controversy.
The number 3 quarterback controversy of all time. Norm Van Brocklin versus Bob Waterfield.
I'd like you all to meet this 2-time passing champion of the National League, Norman Van Brocklin, Los Angeles Rams.
The first quarterback controversy to gain national attention began in 1949 when the Los Angeles Rams brought in rookie Norm Van Brocklin to compete with All-Pro Bob Waterfield.
You wind up with 2 quarterbacks that ultimately are both going to wind up in the Hall of Fame.
They were 2 different types of personalities and 2 different styles.
Waterfield, clean-cut, all-American boy.
He was also a play-by-the-design play, methodically move the team down the field sort of quarterback.
Waterfield hits the target, complete to Dick Horner for a 12-yard gain.
Then you've got Norm Van Brocklin, the Dutchman. Mean SOB.
Van Brocklin was an SOB, both as a player and later on as a coach.
God, hit him right in the hand. Kill that sucker! Where the big dig you up from?
Norm Van Brocklin, God rest his soul, the rotten SOB. One of the rottenest individuals on or off the field I've ever known in my life.
Oh, work the game, Jeffy. Work it while you got a job.
Was more of a gunslinger. He threw the ball deep more.
Van Brocklin gets off a tremendous heave, and the play covers 48 yards.
Norm Van Brocklin's passing in a single game still holds as a record.
Much more brusque, much more confrontational than Waterfield.
Van Brocklin, he wanted to run his game. And so in this game, they sent in a play, and Van Brocklin didn't like the play, and he just disregarded it. And so they took him out and they put Waterfield in.
The Rams, led by Bob Waterfield, make their appearance.
And Waterfield went on to have a tremendous game.
And here comes a smoothie by Mr. Waterfield.
Ultimately, that was the difference between winning the passing title. Van Brocklin had been ahead to that point. Waterfield went in, passed him, and wound up winning the passing championship.
Waterfield reached down into his bag of tricks for an old Waterfield special.
Yep, he's going to give that melon a long toss and knock the pipe out of Fred Gerke's kisser.
Equipped with 2 golden arms, the Rams had the daunting task of deciding who would be the main man.
Joe Sidar, the coach, alternated these players by quarter, regardless of how the game was going. Waterfield would play a quarter, Van Brocklin would play a quarter. And Waterfield would play the next quarter, Van Brocklin would play the next quarter. I mean, it seems absurd, but that was the way the Rams did it. And the fact is they were good enough to win that way.
That's Waterfield again doing the damage.
Van Brocklin, he wasn't thrilled with, but he would accept alternating with Bob Waterfield because he recognized that Waterfield was a great player.
The Los Angeles Rams, paced by Bob Waterfield, took undisputed first place in the Western Division.
Somebody should make a movie about Bob Waterfield and Norm Van Brocklin.
In a town known for its stars, our number 3 quarterback controversy was a screenwriter's dream.
It was a media town, so it did play up to the fact that you had these two bona fide stars.
And the combination of those two in Los Angeles at a time when there were 6, 7 newspapers in Los Angeles, a city that was run on stars anyway, documenting this.
Norm Van Brocklin, sensational passing rookie from Oregon.
And the fact that Bob Waterfield had a beautiful movie star wife.
He was totally into football, and even after he stopped playing, I know he missed it dreadfully.
So Waterfield scored Jane Russell, while Van Brocklin got a different taste of Hollywood.
Vitalis, that's for me. Keeps your hair neat all day.
Waterfield and Van Brocklin combined for one of the NFL's most powerful offenses, averaging just shy of 400 points a season.
Throws an arching pass upfield. Reggie Tom Pierce gathers it in on the dead run and races all the way to score from
The dynamic duo led the Rams to an NFL championship in 1951.
Jumbo Joe Schneiderhauer is hoisted to the collective shoulders of the new world champion.
Bob Waterfield retired in 1952, while Norm Van Brocklin kept the Rams' passing attack going and even won another championship with the Philadelphia Eagles in 1960.
The fabulous Dutchman Norm Van Brocklin earned the league's most valuable player award for his role in the Eagles' flight to victory.
At their best, there couldn't be an outright winner.
Bob Waterfield, the Rams star passer, gets off a touchdown aerial. Again, it's Van Brocklin throwing the leather for the famed Los Angeles Rams.
Because the number 2 guy was going to be too good to be ignored.
Coming up, sticks and stones break cowboy bones, but can words create controversy?
I'm not really a talker.
You know, I enjoy sex as much as Joe Namath.
Probably talk too much, actually.
Tomorrow.
In the 80s, the city of brotherly love produced a friendly quarterback controversy between the Polish rifle Ron Jaworski and the ultimate weapon Randall Cunningham.
When I first saw Randall, I thought this guy would be the greatest quarterback of all time.
He was encouraging me. And there's the old vet saying, hey, man, I got you. I'll help you, whatever you need.
Somehow, miraculously, I think we're looking at Plastic Man.
The pocket passer versus the playmaker is a familiar story.
The number 2 quarterback controversy of all time. Craig Morton versus Roger Staubach.
The Cowboys actually had a very difficult choice here. You had an established, solid quarterback for a good team. Morton.
Craig Morton threw as well on that one as he ever thrown in his life.
Morton was a talented player. That's what people have to realize. He was a very talented player.
Staubach would get on the field, and fans loved him.
A different kind of weapon, a guy with a lot more mobility and a lot more daring.
Landry still was more comfortable with Morton because Roger would want to break all the plays.
He's the better runner of the two, though not considered the better passer.
You could see how torn Tom was. He liked Craig Morton. What was not to like Craig was a really good quarterback. But he looked at Staubach, and even though he wasn't his style,
A great play by Staubach.
you could see him just wrestling game to game, almost year to year. What do I do with this situation?
Craig Morton was Landry's quarterback in Super Bowl V, but a losing effort didn't help his cause.
That kind of gave Coach Landry a reason to really look at Roger Staubach and say maybe this guy's the answer.
He was beginning to sort of phase out Morton and phase in Staubach, but he wasn't quite ready to make the full commitment.
The Dallas Cowboys have quarterback problems too. Only Coach Tom Landry has decided to solve his in a unique way. By rotating on every play Roger Staubach and Craig Morton.
I run out in the field, Craig's running off the field. I'm just mystified like he is. It's like two ships passing the night.
It's very rare to see two quarterbacks being rotated. You don't really ever see it because it doesn't work.
when I'm in the game, do me this favor, go get my dry cleaning for me. When I come back, I'll get your shopping list, so when you play in the game, I'll then go out, pick up the rice that you need for whatever pilaf you got cooking later on tonight.
It was right after that Coach Landry ended up making the decision to go with Roger Staubach.
Secure in the starting job, Roger Staubach won Super Bowl VI for the Cowboys.
Staubach drops back to pass. In front, touchdown!
There wasn't any question now that Coach Landry had made the right decision.
What do you think, Coach? Pretty nice. Congratulations. Really happy.
We found Craig Morton another place to go to where he could be that starting quarterback that he felt like he needed to be.
Morton goes to Denver.
The Broncos are going to the Super Bowl.
He winds up taking the Broncos to the Super Bowl, and they're playing against the Cowboys, and he's playing against Roger Staubach.
Kind of a special treat. I'd like to introduce you fellas. Craig Morton, Roger Staubach. Roger, this is Craig Morton.
Hello, Mr. Staubach. How are you?
I've met Craig before, I believe. Have you met before? I didn't realize that.
Roger goes deep across the middle. Butch Johnson caught! Touchdown!
The game turns into an absolute nightmare for Craig Morton.
Morton will throw, has time. Nope, hit as he lets it go. It's intercepted again.
Winds up being benched.
Red Miller replaced the battered Craig Morton with Norris Weiss, number 14.
Norris Weiss finishes the game. A writer named David Israel wrote a story, and his lead was, throughout his career, Craig Morton always dreamed of winning a Super Bowl for the Dallas Cowboys. And yesterday he did.
Still to come, the #1 quarterback controversy of all time.
Wow, that's a tough one. #1 quarterback controversy of all time.
Before we reveal #1, let's take a look back at our all-time quarterback controversies.
Is the fire hot? Yeah, still hot.
Number 10, New England's man crush on Tom Brady begins.
If Bledsoe gets in there, they get killed.
Number 9, Bradshaw turns this Gillum into an ordinary Joe.
I think history has proven that Terry Bradshaw deserved that job.
Hard to beat.
Number 8, sorry Steve, Troy's the man in Big D.
Aikman proves to be a great player, wins 3 Super Bowls, and ultimately is a Hall of Famer. And Walsh has sort of a journeyman's career.
Number 7, Jay Schrader watches Super Bowl history from the sidelines.
Touchdown, Washington Redskins.
Number 6, all things sacked and small.
What a sensational play by Flutie.
Number 5, Big Blues Big QB debate.
Oh, Simpson, what a pass.
Phil was a far better quarterback.
Number 4, a San Diego showdown between Breeze and Rivers.
What a throw and what a catch.
Number 3, Bob Waterfield's duel with the Dutchman.
Norm Van Brocklin, God rest his soul, a rotten SOB.
Number 2, Captain America makes Morton walk the plank.
Staubach would get on the field, and fans loved him.
And now, the number 1 quarterback controversy of all time, Joe Montana versus Steve Young.
Everyone wants to play. I want to play desperately, and I'm going to try to drive everyone nuts till they give me a shot.
There's never been a controversy like Joe Montana and Steve Young.
You talk about Joe Montana and Steve Young, to me, that is like the ultimate in quarterback controversy.
Goes for the end zone. Touchdown, 49ers.
Because you have a legend, one of the greatest, if not the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and you have an up-and-coming great player.
To the 20, the 50, the 10. He dives. Touchdown, 49ers.
The seeds for our #1 quarterback controversy were planted in 1987 when Bill Walsh traded with Tampa Bay for a young quarterback named Steve.
I just try to take the chances I have to learn about every game and learn about the defenses so that when I do get my chance, then I'll make the best of it.
What got this controversy started was Montana's poor play in the '87 playoffs.
Throws, it's going to be intercepted.
Joe Montana looking slower and slower as the age of the Viking pass rush begin to catch up with him.
As shocking, if not more shocking, is that during that game, Montana was pulled from the game, and he was replaced by Steve Young.
Do you think Steve Young is a quarterback?
Yes, he is. He's great.
Not since the time of the Zodiac Killer had the Bay Area been under this kind of suspense.
Our problem is we have 2, and there's a quarterback controversy developing. We're going to have to select between Steve Young and Joe Montana.
The shootout between Montana and Young had officially begun.
Why did Joe Montana become better at a time when maybe, 86, 87, he's getting hurt, the Giants knocked him out of the playoff game. And at that time, people were saying, geez, maybe Montana's a little bit fragile.
You want to talk to someone who wants to play, come talk to me.
Well, Joe Montana now, he's got a challenge for his job.
And apparently those guys really didn't get along.
They're not on a text message basis these days.
And everybody in any walk of life, if they bring in somebody to yip at your heels, you're going to be a lot better.
Looks, throws! Touchdown, right! Steps up, throws.
Eventually, look what it got him, but Super Bowls in 88 and 89, but it was not friendly.
May run, looks back, looking for someone. Oh! They got him back at the 15-yard line.
Montana was hurt in the NFC Championship game when Leonard Marshall knocked him out. And after that moment, Steve Young took over the team.
It would take Montana 2 years to get healthy, but by then the 49ers were Steve Young's team, even though not everyone was sold on him.
Then he lost the ball. Joe Montana would be running in the first place.
In 1992, Young led the 49ers to a 13-2 record until the final week of the regular season, when a familiar face made an appearance.
Here comes Joe Montana for the first time that entire season. What does he do? He drives the 49ers down the field not once but twice on touchdown drives. Joe Montana looks great.
Montana to throw across the middle. Brent Jones, touchdown 49ers.
He was then, I don't want to use the word benched, but he was, regulated to the sidelines for the playoffs. And the fact that Joe Montana was suited up and healthy and standing on the sidelines in an NFC Championship game in San Francisco is almost too hard to believe, and maybe some people have actually just blocked it out. And after that, Joe was gone.
The 49ers were now Steve Young's team, so like any good prospector, Montana staked his claim somewhere else.
Touchdown, Montana Magic!
Montana had a few years left, as evidenced by his performance in Kansas City.
Looks like goes in the end zone. Touchdown!
When I think about his time in Kansas City, I think about the game when the 49ers came to Arrowhead and Montana took an inferior Kansas City team and beat his old team.
He's in many ways one of the greatest as far as winning Super Bowls for. I got to get there yet.
It seemed that Steve Young would forever live in Joe Montana's shadow. That was until Super Bowl 29.
Without a Super Bowl, we like you. You can hang around, but we don't love you, and we don't want you to stay too long. You have to win a Super Bowl in San Francisco.
Touchdown 49ers! Quick pass, slant in, Jerry Rice, another touchdown!
You always remember that classic scene at the end of the game where he's, taking the imaginary monkey off his back.
Someone take the monkey off my back, please!
That was an epic controversy, the likes of which we will not see again, I don't think. 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in their primes.
Young goes back to throw. Touchdown 49ers!
Hands down. Hands down. I don't think there'll ever be another one like that, because I don't know that you could find another NFL franchise that enjoyed a dynasty like that, where you had maybe the greatest quarterback of all time at the helm.
Absolute surgeon on the football field and one of the all-time greats.
And then giving that baton to another Hall of Fame quarterback.
Young was never a fan of getting pulled.
Steve Young doesn't get angry that often.
So when I give you the big hook, prance out of there with a smile on your face.
But even fans of our list of top 10 quarterback controversies found it, well, controversial.
Number 3 is Van Brockman, Waterfield.
Okay. Doug Flutie and Rob Johnson. Let me tell you.
Aikman versus Walsh.
I'm sorry. Rob Johnson was involved in a quarterback controversy.
Roger Staubach, Craig Morton has to be top 3.
Number 2.
Right.